Well, we are very, very fortunate and very honored to be with Miss Kitty Carlisle Hart, Mrs. Kitty Carlisle Hart.
Yes, I have 2 children.
So you're Mrs. So, now, I don't even know where to start because I've known you for so long with To Tell the
That's
Truth,
right.
and
That's right.
I used to watch those shows, and I remember you on those shows. So, I don't even know where to start. And A Night at the Opera with the Marx Brothers.
That's right.
So-
And they fired me after that.
They did.
They fired me after I did A Night at the Opera. With the Marx Brothers, and they sent me home. And it was so sad because I thought I did a good job.
You did.
And I sang the High C in the Miserere, and that was an interesting
I
story.
heard there was a story about that.
Yes. It turns out that when I was in the middle of the big first scene, it was A Night at the Opera, and there was a lot of extras and everything. And then I sang, Stridono lassù, libera, and I stopped. And I said, Sam Wood was on the boom above me, and he said, "What's the matter, kid?" And I said, "I don't know, Mr. Wood." He said, "Okay, take 2." So I go ahead and I sing, Stridono lassù, libera, and I stop again. And he comes down off the boom and he says, "What's the matter, kid?" And I said, "Well, I don't think that's my voice." And he said, "Well, just go ahead and sing it and we'll explain later." Something told me not to do that. And I walked off the set, leaving 300 extras. It was the bravest thing I ever did in my whole life. And I went to my dressing room and I called my agent. And he said, "You stay in your dressing room, made up and ready for work until I call you." I stayed there for 2 days. And finally he called me and he said, "I want you to come into Mr. Thalberg's office," because Thalberg was the producer and he was a big shot at Metro. So I went to Mr. Thalberg's office, and I cried on his desk, and I cried on the top of his head, and I cried all over the office. And when I hear that high C, that's mine.
So they were dubbing somebody else's.
Yes, they'd gone to New York, and they dubbed me and the tenor.
Wow.
And they
But that's your high C.
that's my high C.
Now I have to watch it all over again. Just for that note. Well, so that you did that with the Marx Brothers. I mean, were they?
How was working with them?
Yeah, but that was
interesting
fun.
or
Well,
weird,
they
or-
were very nice to me.
Yeah.
They didn't play tricks on me, and they didn't upset me, and they were very nice. And Moss had a friend who was Harpo, and my husband. And before we were married, he invited Harpo for a weekend, and he was very proud of his new house. It was in Bucks County, and he was very, very proud of it. And he said to Harpo, "The local minister is coming to call, and I would like you to be aware of this and interrupt us after about 10 minutes. I don't have that much to say to the local minister." And Harpo appeared on the balcony above the house, above the living room, and he was dressed only in a towel. And he had a big shaving brush in his hand. And he said, "Moss, time to shave the cat." And the minister fled.
So they were just as in real life what they were like on.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
But you knew so many people. You were friends with the Gershwins and.
Yes, I knew everybody.
Yeah.
And George was a good friend. And we used to dance at El Morocco, which was the big nightclub in my day. And we would bet each other whose song would be played first, because I had two songs with Bing Crosby that were very famous. And so we bet each other, and we were dancing around, and we were feeling very au courant.
Was he a good guy? Was he a very nice guy?
Oh, he was adorable.
I can imagine.
And he was so much fun. And every time he came to a party, he sat down at the piano and he played and played and played. And the first night he took me out, went to a big party. And in those days, the artists were friends with the social people. And they all mixed up. And so he played for me and I sang, and it was wonderful.
Wow.
And then he asked me to marry him. But he wasn't in love with me. He just thought it would be a good idea.
Just for that night, just have some fun.
No, in general.
Well, I know that you've done so many things in your life, and you've accomplished so many things for the arts. I know that you were ambassador for the arts for New York State for many years. Right?
Yes, for 20 years. And I ran around the state like Johnny Appleseed. Everywhere I went, an arts organization sprang up.
Yeah.
And I didn't practice because I was too busy. And when I left the council after 20 years, and I served under Governor Rockefeller to start with, and I served 5 governors. And when I got to Pataki, I said, I've served 5 governors, and I've called them all darling. Darling Pataki, darling, etc. And I'm not going to make an exception for you. And he said, when you don't call me darling, I'll know I'm slipping.
Well, with all your accomplishments, what are you most proud of? What do you hold close to your heart?
What I did yesterday.
Okay.
And I'm singing still, and I'm going to Feinstein at the end of September.
Oh.
When I'm going there for the 4th time, and when I'm 96, I'm going to Feinstein, and I'm going to sing my songs.
Wow, that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, you just were at
That's amazing.
Feinstein's, correct? I mean,
Yes, I've been there 4 times.
Wow.
And they love me, and they turn out for me. Oh, I pack them in.
Still do that high C?
No, I don't sing that way anymore.
Yeah.
Because my voice has gone down.
Yeah.
And at my age, I don't sing high C's
Well, I used to be a lyric
anymore.
tenor, but it's just, only 5 years ago. I'm not
see?
I'm teasing. So now with the Met, you have a very close association with the Metropolitan Opera too.
Yes, I sang there when I was 54 years old. I made my debut at the Metropolitan Museum and Opera, and I sang Orlovsky.
Oh.
Wow.
And I wore tights up to here.
Yeah.
And I hoped for good notices on my singing. I got very good notices on my legs. But I did get good notices on my singing. I
Now, was that what administrator was there then? What?
I don't
Bing?
remember.
Bing in the
Bing.
50s?
Yes.
Sir Rudolph.
Yes.
And he used to put his coat in my room, which was the best accolade he could give you. And I toured with them. In those days, we toured.
Mm-hmm.
And we toured and toured and toured all over the country. And I was very happy to be singing with the Met.
Yeah. Now, how did the To Tell the Truth, how did that come along?
Oh, well, that
Because
was,
so many people remember you from that.
That's right. And it came along. They asked me to do the show. And after about 3 months, they called me in and said, we want to take you to lunch. And they took me to a fancy place for lunch. And I thought, oh, I'm doing so well. And they fired me. They said I was too old. So they hired 18-year-olds that God had turned every eyelash personally. And they were so ravishing, you couldn't believe it. But they didn't know anything.
Right.
So they hired me back. And then I stayed on the show, and Mark Goodson, who ran the show, said to me, I would like you to come to California and sell the show. And that was 20 years after I'd started. I didn't remind him that he'd fired me.
But you also did What's My Line?
Yes, I did What's My Line when Arlene Francis got sick or the dumbbell fell out of her window.
Now, what does this dumbbell fell out of her window?
Well, the maid was washing the window, and she had a window on the 57th Street side, and the maid lifted the window, and the dumbbell fell out of the window and hit a man on the head who was going into the Pavillon restaurant and killed him.
Ooh.
Yes, for 5 stories.
Oh.
So
That's
Splat.
wow.
it was terrible. And then she was always getting into accidents, and they always called me to go on What's My Line instead of her.
Mm-hmm.
I was on that show about 5 or 6 times,
Yeah.
and they never called her to come on my show. We were too much alike.
Mm-hmm.
We were very much alike. And her son was a year older than my son, and we used to inherit his sailor suits. And then when her son went to Harvard, Chris went to visit him one day, and he said, oh, why don't you come to Harvard? And Chris said, oh, I could never get in. That's ridiculous. And he said, why don't you try? And he got in.
Well, did my mother was so excited that she said, oh, she was a wonderful singer, but she was also, to tell the truth, I'm so excited that you're going to get to meet her, and get to talk with her. So with that and with what you just said about the dumbbell, something prompted an idea in my head, and I can't remember. I was listening to your story, and I forgot what I was going to say.
You're a dumbbell.
I'm a tenor. You can't excuse the tenor. I do that sometimes. But no, it was very exciting for us to because I always watched that show, and it was always kind of fun to know that you were also a Metropolitan Opera singer.
That's right.
That
That's
was kind
right.
of. Do you think that that times have changed for, like the Met, for instance? I mean, I know that there are a lot of things.
Well, they're very much thinner.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. Singers. But I mean, do you think things are changing for the arts in this country?
I'll tell you what I think. I think that things are very bad for the arts in this country. We don't pay attention to the arts, and we don't give them their due. And the 5 composers that I worked with, that I shared these wonderful stories with, they're gone, and no one will ever take their place. George and Cole and etc. And they all played for me, so I know how their songs should go.
I know, that's a little
Quite a
daunting.
coaching session.
It's a little intimidating. We won't sing Gershwin for you. But yeah, it feels like it's not a very good time for the arts in this country. And I know, having been in your position where you've dealt with the arts so closely.
Yes.
I mean, us just as performers is one thing, but to actually be out trying to find
The only one
support.
left is 80-odd years old, and I can't call his name, but he's a composer who wrote very good songs.
Barber? No, he wouldn't be. I don't know.
Yes, you do.
An American?
Yes, and he's the one left that played with all the others.
Harry Warren. Let me see.
Room? Anybody?
No.
Booth? Peter might know. You don't know Mr. Sax, whatever your name is?
Who?
They're stumped. They're stumped.
Oh, they're stumped. Would it be a classical composer or a popular song?
Popular
Popular
songs.
song.
It's the same age as the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And what?
Before Paul Anka. Before Burt Bacharach.
For Burt Bacharach.
Before Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Well, that's way
Who?
way before Andrew Lloyd Webber. I don't know. I'm thinking of classical composers that might still, because I know I just saw Ned Rorem actually at a recital a couple of years ago to hear some of his songs. Susan Graham were singing some of his songs, and he was in the audience, and so I know he's still around, but I don't know.
Hoagie Carmichael is gone.
Hoagie Carmichael? No, he's gone.
He's gone. I'm singing one of his songs, one of his unknown songs.
In your show?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
that's
going to
fun.
put it in the show.
Would you sing for us?
What?
Well, I actually found out, we spoke with David, your accompanist David, and he said Miss Hart likes to sing always in the key of C.
With the modulation at the end.
No, don't put the modulation, but I can do it in C.
Okay, let's try.
Okay. Do you do the verse?
No.
Just the chorus. Okay. Well, we can do that too. I will do my best. I had it transposed just for you.
I'll be loving you always with a love that's true, always. When the things you planned need a helping hand, I will understand. Always, always. Days may not be fair. Always. That's when I'll be there. Always. Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but always.
Thank you. I can now say I played for Kitty Carlisle Hart. I'm so excited. What an honor that was. Well, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
We'd like to sing something for you.
Oh, that would be delicious.
Yeah.
What?
Probably not opera. We won't sing opera for you today, but we'll sing, what about It's Been a Long, Long Time?
I don't know that.
Kiss me once and kiss me
Oh,
twice. You want to sing it for her?
Sure.
Okay. Never thought that you would be standing here so close to me. There's so much I feel that I should say, but words can wait until some other day.
Just kiss me once and kiss me twice, then kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time. I haven't actually really kissed you yet, have I?
Haven't felt like this, my dear, since can't remember when. It's been a long, long time. You'll never know how many dreams I've dreamed about you.
Or just how empty they all seemed without you. So kiss me once and kiss me twice and kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time.
That's wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So now
Wait a
tell
minute.
us. Oh, do you have to change? I want one.
Now my
I want
long
one.
time is
I want
over.
one too. I want a kiss too.
Me too, me too, me too.
You know the tenor and baritone.
Leave me out.
Baritone gets a
It's
kiss.
doing something.
So does the tenor. So now tell us. Now you were married to
Moss Hart.
right to Moss Hart, the director of My Fair Lady and Camelot.
Yes, and other shows.
Yes.
And I thought of him as a potential husband for 9 years, and I didn't look at anybody else.
Wow.
And I had a lot of chances to get married, but I've always thought Moss and I would be so good together. And he was the right age. He was about 6 years older than I was, and he was the right performer, and he was just right for me. And he'd never been married, and I'd never been married. So one day I was at the Lillian Hellman's, and I was sitting on the sofa, and he was on the arm of the sofa. And I saw that he looked at me, and he saw me for the first time in all the years. And so the next day he called me, and he said, "Are you surprised?" And I said, "No, I knew you'd call." And he said after that he loved me because there was no nonsense about Kitty, but he didn't use the word nonsense.
He was a theater guy. Well, did you ever appear in any of his shows?
Oh, yes, many. And he was a wonderful director, wonderful. And he never made anybody feel sad or
Unhappy.
right. And
That's the word sad.
Yes.
Well, there's so many directors that are so difficult that make it
Yes.
really difficult for the
Yes.
actors and the
Yes.
singers.
And he was never that way. He had moments of great depression, and he was in the hands of a psychiatrist. Everybody was in those days. Everybody but me. They said they were going to use me as the control because I didn't need it. So,
And you're from New York originally.
no,
Where?
I'm from New Orleans.
No wonder you're so well
Nice.
adjusted. Dell's from New York. I'm from Alabama. I'm the adjusted one.
Alabama, where?
Yes, Clay.
A little town called Phoenix City.
Uh-huh.
There was actually a movie about it because it was a very notorious little gambling town during the right before, just post World War II, and there was a big controversy there. And they had a movie about it. Several songs were written about it. That's my hometown, this little tiny town in Phoenix City, Alabama. But it's
Where do you come from?
I'm right here up from Westchester. Born in Greenwich, live in Silver Lake and White Plains area, so I'm here. I'm not from Alabama or
I
New
like
Orleans.
Alabama.
I love New Orleans. New Orleans.
Oh,
is
yeah.
so much fun.
Well, I stayed there until I was 10 years old, and my mother wanted me to be accomplished, so she started me off on the violin when I was about 6 years old, and that didn't work. And then she started me on the piano, and she stayed with me. She'd been to the conservatory in Cincinnati to learn how to play the fiddle. So she was a very fine musician, and she would sit, and everybody else was out on the street roller skating, and I was sitting there for 2 hours with my mother, and she would push the bow over my shoulder when I lost my place, and it was like a witch's finger. And I lost my place quite a lot. So finally I went to Europe. And I went to Europe when I was about 11. And I went to school there in Switzerland. My mother was turned down originally in all the good schools because it was a little late in the beginning of the school, and furthermore we had no entree, and so she fascinated the what do you call it, the clerk, no, the head of the
The dean?
no, the head of the where you get your passport.
Oh, the immigration office.
No, the
Consulate?
yes, in consulate.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Mike.
And she fascinated the consul general, and he took me back to one of the schools that had turned me down, and I got in.
Oh.
And I stayed there for 2 years, and then I went to school in Paris, and I stayed in Europe till I was grown. And my mother was looking for the key to European society. She wanted me to make a brilliant marriage. So she looked in Paris, and I went to Rome, and I went to London, and my academic career was on the back burner.
While you were looking for...
Find a hot European husband.
That's
Lots
right.
of cash.
And so finally and at last, I didn't find one. And I was about 19 years old. And my mother said to me, "You're not the prettiest girl I ever saw. You're not the best singer I ever heard. And you're certainly not the best actress I ever hope to see. But if we all put them all together, we'll find the husband we're looking for on the stage." I went on the stage to find a rich husband, and I did.
Mission accomplished.
That's very interesting. Well, now, what shows did you do with him?
We did. He was very interested in doing something when we were first married, and that was The Man Who Came to Dinner.
Oh.
And so we shared a dressing room, and it was all very romantic. And except that he was so bad-tempered when he had to take his beard off, and he was so violent. And I said, "Out! I don't want you in my dressing room ever again." And we did shows in the spring, and we did that, and we did The Man Who Came to Dinner, and I played the secretary, and I was very good as the secretary. And the next year I played the actress, and I was lousy.
No, but did your mother finally realize that you were the actress that she...
No, my mother adored him.
Oh.
And thank God, he loved my mother. He never saw anything wrong with her.
That's a little hard.
Oh, it was like sitting in a warm tub. I had the best time.
Well, can we sing something else for you?
Yes, that would be wonderful.
We'll sing one more thing for you. You want to come play you don't want to come play the piano?
Nah, I don't want to mess it up.
Dale was going to play a little piano part, but I think he's afraid he might mess it up.
Nah, you know what?
What is it going to be?
Who cares?
It's going to be Heart and Soul. Are you going to do it?
Who cares?
Okay. Miss Hart will be glad to hear you play the piano.
Yeah.
He's not just a dumb baritone.
See, we're not dumb. We're sly. We're dumb like a fox. Miss Hart. Right, guys? Say yes to Dell.
You ready?
Who? What? Oh, this one you want me to play? What key are you in?
F.
G F flat minor.
So he can't play the piano. Heart and soul, I fell in love with you, heart and soul, the way you fool would do madly, because you held me tight and stole a kiss in the night.
Heart and soul, I made to be adored, lost control, and tumbled overboard gladly. The magic night we kissed there in the moonlight.
Oh, for the lips were thrilling, much too thrilling.
Never before were mine so strangely willing.
Now I see that one embrace can do. Look at me, it's got me looking at madly. That little kiss you stole held me my heart and soul.
That's wonderful. That's just wonderful.
Thank
Do you do that for money?
We just do this. Well, we sing for money. We just do that. We just,
We have a live show that
we have a live show
do comedy and different skits.
and a lot of opera in our live show.
Oh, that's
We do
wonderful.
a lot of fun, but these songs have always just been things I've always sung. Dell is not as familiar with the Great American Songbook.
So I'm getting a great lesson today.
Yeah, and I'm teaching. I've
Everybody.
been teaching him all these Great American songs. I said, there's a lot of things you're missing, Dell.
It's
That's
true.
right.
And I
You
agree.
know?
That's right.
I agree.
So we've been experimenting and playing around with them. But our act is actually an opera comedy act.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
Would
what
have
our.
thought opera could be.
We have fun with opera, and we have fun because we do sing. We sing Don
Yes,
Carlo, in
yes.
in our show we even sing Don Carlo.
Yes,
But
yes.
then we just have a good time doing other things. So, well, listen, we have had so much fun.
I would
having
like to come and hear you.
We would
Well,
love
And
for
you
to
must come and
here.
hear me.
Oh, we would
We
love
would
to come
love to.
hear you.
Absolutely.
You must come and hear me at Feinstein.
That
Well,
would be an honor.
we're
That'd be a
gonna.
treat.
That would be a
Let's go.
lovely, lovely evening.
And if you come, I have very close people come upstairs, and we have drinks
Oh.
and a little snack, and we talk.
Well, we'd be honored.
That'd be
We would
It'd be
be.
wonderful.
Thank you. It'd be our pleasure.
Well, we're working on bringing our show back into New York.
Yes.
So we're going to see what happens with it. I think we've sort of taken people by surprise that we have a lot of fun with singing. So we sing a lot of different things.
It is fun.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
you're a singer for your whole life, so it's the art, it's the joy that we can.
That's right.
It
transcends.
is. It
That's
is.
right.
Transcends.
So
It is a
I.
Zen-like experience. That's my new word. Transcends.
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 Dale learned a new word.
Baritone vocabulary.
It's very minimal. But no, so we do sing all sorts of styles of singing. I grew up singing these songs because my mom and dad just loved them, so I always sung these songs. So I've been showing Mr. Baritone here a few things about this Great American Songbook.
And he doesn't want to learn about
That's
rock
good.
and roll, so I stopped.
That's good. No, no.
You don't need it. That's okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with us.
Delighted to be here.
We hope you had as much fun as we did.
Yes, I did.
Well, thank you. Thank
Thank
you. It's
you.
been an
Thank
honor.
Wow.